This will be your example 2 on the topic equilibrium of forces. So the cassette plate is subjected to the force of four members. Determine the force in the member B and its proper orientation theta for equilibrium. The forces are concurrent at point O and take F equals 12 kilonewton. Take note that there are many kinds of force system. So yung concurrent force system, this type of force system is that the forces are going into the center or into a one direction or in a one point. So mapapansin nyo lahat ng forces natin are going to your O or at the center of this force system or concurrent force system. So there are members which are tensional and compression. This type of force, when the force is going out, it is tensional forces. Okay? Pag going out yan, tensional forces like your strings and your cables. And then pag compressive force naman, yan yung mga pumapasok. These forces are going directly in to the member or into the particle. So example of this one is when you are pressing a button. Okay? Or ano pa nga ba yung pwedeng press? Okay, if you are hammering a nail, when the nail is going into the body, okay, or the force that you are applying into the hammer that is going into the nail, that is examples of compressional forces. It is going into the body. Okay, so according to the body, your F is equal to 12 kilonewton. Okay, and then your member B has a known force in its orientation or theta for the equilibrium. So how will we solve this one? Okay, take note that when you are talking about the condition of equilibrium from our Newton's first law of motion or the law of inertia, so therefore we have our summation of f of x is equal to 0, your summation of f of y is equal to 0, and your summation of moment is equal to 0. So take note that this body will not intend to rotate, kaya wala siyang moment. Okay? Moment of forces will be discussed later on after these examples. Okay? So we have our body. So we'll have the summation of f of x and its summation of f of y. Take note that our summation of f of x is equal to 0. So on the forces, in our summation of f of x is equal to our, let's say, FA0. FA0. Ito yan. Wherein FA0 is equal to 8 kilonewton because the body is going to the right. Positive yan. And then we have our FOB. FOB which is equal to negative. Negative yan kasi it is going to the left direction. Tignan nyo naman yung arrow. So negative FOB cosine theta. We have unknown theta. Plus our FOD. FOD, so 45 degrees to, we may understand or we may know that this is also 45 degrees because 45 less 90 is 45, right? So FOD cosine 45 degrees. Okay? That is our summation of f of x. Take note that your f is only at a vertical orientation. So therefore I may say that my summation of f of x is equal to 0 is equal to my FAO, which is equal to 8 kilonewton. So hindi ko muna ilalagay yung kilonewton na mamaya na. Less our FOB, which is unknown, at cosine theta plus FOD is equal to 5 kilonewton. which is equal to 5 cosine 45 degrees. Okay? So therefore, I may say that my FOB, so transpose ko lang yan, is equal to 8 plus 5 cosine 45, which is equal to 8 plus 5 cosine 45. It is equal to 11.53. 11.5355 newtons, or let's say we will store it at A. So at A, stored dyan. Okay. Next is our summation of f of y, which is also equal to 0. Our summation of f of y is equal to 0. So therefore, I will have my b, or my f o b sine theta, this member, going down yan, so negative, plus our f, kasi going up dyan, magiging positive tayo, 12 kilonewton, less this member, it is going down, so negative, less 5 sine 45. Okay? But what is our FOB? Take note that our FOB is equal to FOB is equal to FOB sine theta. So transpose mo lang yan, 12 less 5 sine 12 less 5 sine 45. So it is equal to 12 less 5 sine 45. It is equal to 8.4644 newtons, or pwede natin store yan sa B. Stored at B. Stored at B. Okay? Kilonewton I should say. Kilonewton. Okay? So may nakalimutan tayo dito i-transpose yung cosine theta mo. This is cosine theta. Okay? So let's say that this will be our equation 1. Equation 1. And this will be our equation 2. FOB sine theta is equal to 8.46. Equation 2. Okay? So, like our solution in our first example, i-divide mo lang yan. Equation 2 divided by equation 1, which is particularly equal to our FOB sine theta, which is equal to 8.46 kilonewton, 8.46 kilonewton divided by our FOB cosine theta. So FOB cosine theta divided by our 11.535 kilonewton. Okay? Cancelling out your FOB, so we'll have a value equal to your sine theta divided by cosine theta. So we'll have tangent theta, which is equal to 8.46, or your alpha B, kung saan mo in-store yung B mo, yung 8.46 mo, and then yung alpha A, kung saan mo in-store yung first equation mo, or yung 11.53. So we'll have a value equal to 0.7337. So kilonewton divided by kilonewton is equal to 1. So therefore that is useless. Therefore our theta is equal to arctan. Arctan 0.73377, which is particularly equal to, pwede namang i-shift star C yan, so then shiftan C, 36.27 degrees. This will be our theta. Okay, but what would be our FOB? So our FOB can be solved in either equation 1 and 2. Particularly, let's use your equation 1. Okay, this equation. So my FOB is equal to 11.5355 kilonewton divided by, so ibababa natin yung cosine theta, i-divide natin lahat yan ng cosine theta mo. But take note that our cosine theta is cosine 36.27, so therefore our FOB is equal to alpha A divided by cosine 36.27. So we'll have a value equal to 14.307 kilonewton, or approximately equal to 14.31 kilonewton. This will be our FOB, or your force at member B. Okay, so let's box the answer. So this will be our first answer at member FOB and our theta. So take note that this theta is positive. FOB, so 36.27 degrees. Okay, so as we go on with our example, try to internalize on our solution. So if you are talking about your equilibrium, yung kinukuha natin is that your summation of f of x must be equal to 0. Your summation of f of y must be also equal to 0. If which indicates that there is no vertical and horizontal motion. Okay, but as we go on with our example, we will add the third aspect, which is the rotational motion or your moment, wherein your summation of moment must be also equal to 0 in order to attain this stability or equilibrium of forces, meaning hindi siya gagalaw at x, hindi siya gagalaw at y, at hindi rin siya nagro-rotate. Okay,